Good evening, bonsoir, bienvenue à la séance ordinaire publique le 17 avril. I will ask everyone to please rise for the national anthem. Nous avons deux présentations ce soir, so we have two presentations this evening. On va débuter avec une présentation des états financiers vérifiés par M. Gilles Deveau, CPA, CA au nom de EPR Bathurst. Monsieur Deveau, vous avez le micro. You have the mic.
Thank you, Your Lordship, councillors. It's my pleasure to be here to present the financial statements for 2022. So our audit report, nothing has come up. Everything went smoothly. We got all the information, nothing unusual. So the statement of operations for the City of Bathurst at the end of December 31st, 2022, the city finished with a deficit per the new standards of $312,810 compared to a surplus of $794,278 in the previous year. So accumulated with the surplus that was there, the City of Bathurst finished with an accumulated surplus of $68,809 and $68,809,260 compared to $69 million the previous year. Statement of financial position. So financial asset this year we're at $6,167,000 compared to $6,568,000 the previous years. Liability were reduced to $32,812,253 compared to $33,758,250 the previous year. So the net debt of the City of Bathurst stands at December 31st, 2022 at $26,645,092 compared to $27,189,697 the previous year. So a reduction of $544,000, which we'll see on the next statement. Financial assets stayed similar, $94,658,000 compared to $95 million in 2021. Inventory with the accumulated surplus of 68. So as we can see, again this year the City of Bathurst decreased their net debt of $544,605 with the decrease last year of $3.6 million. So in the last 2 years the City of Bathurst decreased their net debt of over $4.1 million. So something that I got to commend the city and the finance department. very good, because this is going to become the benchmark of where the province is going to be looking at really decreasing the net debt. So cash flow, there was a very negative variation, but still finished the year with 130,000 in the city coffers in for operations. So I'm just going to skip to the notes and go directly to the municipal surplus. All right. Yeah, rotate view. So the city of Bathurst finished the year December 31st with a surplus in the operating budget in general of $339,280. This is mainly due to 250 was transferred from the reserve fund. Tourism accommodation levy generated $150,000 more than budgeted. Interest was 81,000 more than budgeted. There was some savings done in economic development and a new incentive for almost 171,000. Insurance, as everybody knows, went up, and the city had to bear the brunt of almost $200,000 more insurance cost than the previous year and what was budgeted. Fuel, I think everybody knows, when they gas up, city wasn't spared. 266,000 more in fuel. Human resources were 143,000 more than budgeted. But the great news is, like I said last year, global warming, snow removal was lower by $241,000 than budgeted for 2022, which contributed to the 339,000 surplus. That in water and sewage, we finished with a 90,847 surplus. Main things were there was a reduced sale of services of 167. The water supply was over budget by 297. Wastewater disposal was under budget by 203,000. And there was a decrease of a charge from general operating fund of 143,000 to the water switch that contributed to the surplus of 90,000. Just to show that their city is still in a good position, still almost has 1.6 million in the various reserve funds. So that concludes my presentation.
For something so thick and so big, it's short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Exactly. Does council have any questions? No? Thank you, Mr. DeVoe. I think it boils down to the amazing work that the city employees are doing and in with each department. And to think that, you know, we've increased in staff, we've doubled our crew for the patching in the roads, and we're still managing to save money. If we look at an overview, 4.1 million, you said that we've shaved off our debt in 2 years?
Net debt, yes.
Net debt. That is something to be very grateful and impressed by. So keep up the good work, and it's because of the staff that we have and the qualifications that they have and that they work together. One thing I can say is it's great teamwork. So thank you very much for your presentation, and it's wonderful news. It was great news when I had seen it, so since last week. Merci beaucoup.
Perfect. Thank you.
We have a second presentation from the Aquatic Center Feasibility Study and Recreation Master Plan by Sierra Planning and Management.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, and members of the public and staff. We have a short presentation for you, and just before I go into that, we're very pleased to be here and to embark on these two studies. One is, both will effectively be policy documents. The first is a recreation master plan, setting important context, and secondly, a drill-down feasibility study of a potential new aquatics facility. So what I thought I would do as by way of introduction to this project, this really is day one of starting the project. We've had various meetings today, is to give you more of a process overview so you can see what will happen in the next several months. This will be a period where there will be public consultation, and so there will be material out being advertised, and you may hear public opinion about this. So just to go through it, the first project, and really a foundational one, is a new recreation master plan. So the aim of that is to provide a 10-year vision for the full range of assets that and services and programs that the municipality does provide. And the boundaries for that are essentially the city, the newly constituted city. There are facilities, the aquatics obviously, but the Casey Irving Center has others that are regional in nature, so there will be discussion of the regional nature of these, but the plan and its recommendations that will come back to council are matters of city recreation policy. It will be, and it will deal with indoor, outdoor facilities in terms of sports fields and other active spaces, but also open spaces, trails, beaches, and any other kind of clearly recreational pursuit that's under the authority of the municipality. And that should include school board facilities that are used as well. They are part of the supply and what people use. So it will be very broad. It's going to be underpinned, and it can only really survive the test of any inquiry, and certainly you would want that as council to have a very strong public and stakeholder engagement process. So that will be central to this. It creates a spine through the entire project. And as a result of that, working with the Regional Service Commission, as you have been on recreation matters for a number of years now, that will be important as well. The Aquatics Centre study is not a recreation master plan, it's a recreation matter, but it is of course about the feasibility, colloquially, the doability, the achievability of building a new indoor aquatic centre, if that is the right thing to do. And so we look at the full range of questions that need to be answered as part of that. So it addresses the full scope of issues involved in determining feasibility, how affordable it is, what it might look like, and importantly, of course, how it serves the needs of the population of the city and the region. And then as a corollary to that, how can it be organized so that it can be capital funded and operated on a regional cost share basis. It's all about balancing needs and wants, and then beyond that there are opportunities in building a new capital facility. There may be, through the course of our work, things that come to light that make sense to be in the building as well, not just aquatics, and that is the modern approach, to put more in the building rather than less. I'm not suggesting we will necessarily do that, but everyone should be aware that I think it behooves us to look at those issues. And this really is, this kind of facility and others are really part of the economic development equation. That's the approach that we take, which is putting in new infrastructure is part of the whole approach to attracting and retaining businesses and households to the region. And of course, there needs to be a business plan to go along with that. So again, quite a significant piece of work, and one that I think hopefully we'll be able to execute well. There's also the value of doing both of these things together. So being able to undertake that kind of detailed feasibility work, but also undertake the broader, higher level, the kind of 10,000-foot level recreation master plan, allows things to be put into focus, particularly directions about major capital projects, because an aquatics facility is not necessarily the only facility that you're going to have to look at for capital and operating sustenance over the next 10 years. So at the end of the day, by doing these two pieces of work together, a more coordinated funding strategy, I think, will emerge, and hopefully some more clarity around the decisions and choices that have to be made. In terms of who we are then as a team, just separating out these studies, In terms of the recreation master plan, that's going to be really run by us without sub-consultants on this. And we do a lot of this kind of work across the country. We were involved in writing a recreation master plan back in 2017 for the Regional Services Commission, which I think was appropriate at the time to get the issues out on the table. And of course, work has been conducted by the Commission over that time, along with partner municipalities. And we do have a history of working in New Brunswick. We're based in Toronto, but you know, don't hold that against us. We do a lot of work in New Brunswick, have done for over a decade. In terms of the aquatic feasibility study, again, our practice is to try and create a report back to you that moves the issue forward in definitive ways. So it's not just about words on the page, it's about what the capital cost is, what the efficiencies are if you were to operate it in one way versus another. And so to do that, it's ourselves, but also a firm we work with a lot, Perkins & Will Architects. They're a North American firm across the continent. They do a lot of work in aquatics, and we've worked with them a lot. And similarly, we've worked a lot with CBCL in various projects in New Brunswick, PEI, and Nova Scotia. The recreation plan, as I mentioned, is going to focus comprehensively on indoor facilities that you have, as well as the full range of parks and outdoor amenities. And I imagine, as we get into it, one of the outcomes of the pandemic is that everyone has learned to appreciate their outdoor spaces a lot more than some of us did, beforehand. So that will become an emphasis again, I imagine. But also programs and service delivery. People's expectations about what they're getting for their tax dollars are changing all the time, and we want to be able to do that and also offer any advice, if we can, on organizational needs that the city will have. Adding amenities, adding services does tend to create staff needs, and so we'll get into those issues as well. The specific assets that we're looking at there are listed on the right-hand side, and as I said, they're fairly comprehensive. If there is any interest in anything specific, I'll be happy to answer any questions on that. For the aquatic feasibility study, there are some basics that we need to understand, and as you currently, as a city and as a region, have an aquatics facility, 25-meter pool, typical sort of community standard pool, we do want to answer really a couple of questions, which is, how well used is that facility? Could it be used better? Meaning, is there a demand that's not being met? And then how to translate for what will be a 40-year-old facility this year. What is the next 40 years, next 35 years going to look like for a new facility? And so what are the best practices that are out there in terms of providing facilities? And so talking to the public about that will be important. And we want to understand what people want. We're not going to be restrictive in those consultations. It will be our job collectively, though, to make sure that what we come back with is within the realm of affordability. And so that's sort of the challenge of these projects. As part of that, very important is a site evaluation. It's often said, and I think with good reason, that you only have a project once you really have a site. It sounds like an obvious statement, but sometimes the project is established in principle, but there's no site. I think it's the other way around. I think you need to have a site so that you can apply some more specific design and cost-related information to that. And then we run through the entire project in terms of estimating what the capital cost, but also the operating deficit is. And as you're probably aware from a number of projects, the capital cost is one element. The operating deficits, and these buildings create deficits, they'll be with you for 30, 40 years, and so they will add up significantly. So how you operate the building, what is the estimated demand which means, how does it meet people's needs? Those are questions that are going to be very significant, I think, to estimating an appropriate range of that operating deficit. And then beyond that, of course, the cost-sharing equation in terms of how the benefiting jurisdictions in the shallow area will be able to come together to make this project happen. The methodology that we go through, so we're really into the phase 1 situational assessment, which is gathering information on all fronts. These plans have to be evidence-based in terms of how people use facilities, also based on consultation, of course, with the public in general and stakeholders. From that, we move into a second phase where there's a range of solutions that can be discussed, and we tend to try and socialize those options, because at the end of the day, the plan has to be one that meets the objectives of as many people as possible in order to have the best chance of success. We'll have our recommendations in terms of what we a rationale for them. Once that's agreed, we move into an implementation phase. How do you put these recommendations into place? And then we write up and create the planning documents themselves. This rather complicated slide really is just to give everyone an indication of how these two projects will roll out over the next sort of 6 months. So today we are really at startup, and a good opportunity just to introduce ourselves to council. Over the next little while, developing a public online survey for the recreation master plan, which is, as I said, fairly broad, and then giving some consideration of a more specific online survey of people's observations about the kinds of aquatic facilities they might use and amenities. And then, the aim would be to launch one or both of those surveys later in May through to June. We may move the timing around a little bit just so that we're not creating too many surveys out there. There is a separate piece of work that involves talking to the leaders of the various user groups, community organizations, sporting groups, cultural organizations, and so forth, to get their input. And throughout the process, constantly talking really to members of staff, department heads, because there will be input that we need from them, as well as external agencies to the extent they're relevant as well. And then coming back toward the end of the summer, once the plan is coming back into more focus, to then re-engage with the public, probably after Labor Day, to be most effective, I think, and then to bring documents back to council for your consideration as well. The aim, of course, in a recreation master plan is that the plan gets adopted by council, because if it's adopted by council, it then becomes a policy document that the senior management team can use in order to come back with budgets and to respond to other things that come up during the course of the next several years. For the aquatics feasibility study, the aim of any of those studies is to take the myriad of questions that exist at the beginning and to scope them down, but you will not answer every single question in a single study. So it is a plan, so it would be a document that would be presented back to council with a series of next steps attached to them, to it, I should say. And just to give you, as I really indicated already, the next month is fairly busy for us in terms of organizing our online consultation, and then in the first week of June, the week of June the 6th, to have what we refer to as project introductory meetings with the public. So I'll be there, and colleagues of mine will be there, able to converse in French as well, to meet everyone's preferences. And those will be meetings for both the Rec Master Plan and the Aquatics feasibility study as well. And then beyond that, we'd be happy to come back with any updates that council may want after that as well. So that's an overview, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Do we have any council? Oh, Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I actually sat on the board in 2017,
Yes.
yeah, with the master plan. You referred to 10 years a couple times in your presentation. So is it 10 years to have something actually put in, what do you mean by 10 years? Is it to have something actually put in place to be able to start, or?
Through you, Your Worship, with regard to the aquatic centre?
Yeah, because it was referenced a couple times in the presentation, 10
Yeah.
years.
Sorry, I should have clarified. The 10-year window is for the recreation master plan.
Okay,
So short, medium, and longer-term
Okay.
recommendations. For the aquatic study, there is no timeline attached to it. If there was a business case to go forward, we would lay out the next steps. And typically, in coming back with a capital cost range, an operating range, and a statement of community need, and if you were satisfied that it met the city's goals, I think the next thing is, does it lend itself to agreement by funding partners that you
Okay.
need, both provincially but locally as well. So there's no real talk about timeline. It's
Okay.
really as fast as you can, if that's the project
Okay.
to do.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect, thank you.
All right. Councillor Branch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. You had mentioned that you would be looking at operating deficit projections. I was just curious, how long of a window would you be looking at those?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's diminishing returns if you're sort of going beyond, 10 years for these things. I mean, you can always roll them out. What we try and do at this stage is be as conservative as possible, meaning have as high a deficit as we can, because it's not that, inflation gets in the way and things like that. It's that there will have to be decisions made on how you operate the pool.
Yep.
So to give you an example, we will come up with some clear pictures of risk to do this. So we might, for example, say that the pricing structure that you currently have, or that the Commission currently has for the aquatics facility, is going to remain in place. Now, there may be a reason to increase it, there may not be, but if we just use that as a limiting assumption for revenues, but you have costs, which we know are going to increase, you can start to estimate what the level of deficit is going to be. Rest assured that you're not going to be underpricing it. We don't, as a company, either on the capital or the operating side, try and give you a good news story if there isn't one there. So we'll look at it seriously. The building that, and I say this only at the outset, going into it, having done several of these elsewhere, is that you have a building that reflects the era in which it was built. So it's essentially a single tank, 25-meter, 6-lane community pool. Going through this process, that might be a recommendation for a new building, but more likely it will be a multi-tank operation, meaning it would be a lane pool and a leisure pool of some kind, so separate pools, all in the same building, and there may be some opportunity and need expressed through the rec plan, for example, to have other uses put in the building as well. So, that's where the operating deficit might go up. It really comes down to what's the value for money, and that's what you'll be looking for us, I think, to give you advice on.
Yeah, okay. And I just have another question, and I don't want to get too technical here, but I'm just curious. Like, when you're looking at the efficiencies that could be gained by locating it with KCI,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you would be looking at efficiencies for things like, I don't know, say variable refrigerant flow or whatever, like recovering rejected heat from the ice surface to heat the pool and that type of thing?
Yes,
that-
and and through you, Madam Mayor, yes, absolutely. I think we have CBCL there on board. They're an engineering company. Their office from Fredericton, and we've done this with them down in Nova Scotia, where we look at anything from the kind of the opportunity for net zero to be met, but also just things like district heating. The heat generated by the ice rink, can that be used to heat the natatorium, the volume space of the pool and the water as well. There are going to be some constraints in that. including where you would put the pool in order to take advantage of that. But we'll look at that kind of thing. And then the other efficiencies are just a slightly smaller footprint, potentially, because you're not having to build absolutely everything that a standalone building would require. And of course, some other operating efficiencies, including centralization of staff and coordination generally. And then from the consumer's point of view, this is where I think there's real value as well. If you're someone that's going and you have a couple of people with you, one could use a rink, one could use a fitness facility, one could swim. So there's advantages from multi-use in many ways.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. We have one more. Councillor Burnett.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. Look forward to what you're going to find and look forward to the recommendations you're going to bring up. But I have a few concerns. We are now in the middle of some changes in the city, and Deputy Mayor Anderson and her committee are going to do some great things with the park. For example, this summer, up at the Civic Center, you get the basketball going on now that we didn't have before. So there's some really good things happening that are bringing people out, and will be bringing more out. But coming from Toronto and coming from centers that are, so many more people, do you have any fresh ideas of what we can do with some of the buildings that we have? Because we can't always do what we've always done because it's not working. We have an aging population, and yet we still want to serve our youth, and we still want to serve people, families coming in, and are getting some families coming in. So do you bring fresh ideas of what we can do with the buildings that we do have and the facilities?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, we certainly can, and we tend to separate out what you need and if you need to build new, and we'll give you best practice in how you do that. You're absolutely right. Whenever you plan, you need to be planning for every demographic that you have, because cities grow old, but they grow young at the same time. In terms of existing buildings that you have in spaces, the Recreation Master Plan can certainly speak to that in terms of the breadth of needs, what you could do in some of the parks. If just to give a hypothetical, if you went forward with a new building for aquatics, there is an existing building which you currently subsidize. I think you would have to look long and hard as to what the capacity is for that building. Sometimes there are opportunities. You can fill the floors in, you can create some expansion. These buildings can be used, but that gets to a level of detail. We want to be careful that we don't bring boilerplate ideas from some of the larger centres. And we work across Ontario, so sometimes they're larger centres, sometimes they're very small centres. And I think the kind of innovations, just to speak to the issues of parks, for example, it's not always about creating a space where everyone can use the exact same space. In fact, so if you take pickleball as an example, sometimes putting pickleball lines on tennis courts is not the best idea because it needs to be effectively managed. Putting pickleball and basketball together isn't always the best plan. In some areas where they're short on space, it might be. Where you're not short on space, maybe having dedicated spaces is better. So we'll certainly do our best to make our recommendations specific to the issues here as opposed to just bringing standard practices from elsewhere.
Another question. I'm also concerned about better use of our buildings. For example, the Civic Center, the basketball that comes up, the hockey's there. But what else can we do with that building? For example, I was sort of thinking that we need a farmer's market. We used to have a lovely one where everybody would gather on Saturday mornings, but we don't have that anymore to the extent that we had before. We have a smaller one now, which is good. But that rink sits empty up there. It's got parking, it's got restaurants in it and everything else. Have you seen that happen at any of the big facilities like that?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you're talking about the K.C. Irving complex. So it is a very large site. You have the spectator arena, and obviously the spectator arena, it's less used. You've got the community rink. Certainly an aquatics facility added to this, if that's what it was, would certainly lend more animation, but that's where I'm going with, without giving any prescriptions here before we do the work, the idea of putting other spaces in there that could further animate that place as a hub on the recreation side. Now, you're speaking to perhaps some more different kinds of uses. It's a large land holding. Could you put a farmer's market in there? Could you put other kinds of activities? Yes, you could. It comes down to a bit of a design choice as well. I mean, it is a big complex, and it was designed as a sport and entertainment center, originally. But some of the other places, to give you an example, we worked for Centre 200 in Sydney, Cape Breton recently, where we're looking to put an expansion on that building for a range of community uses. But they do need to fit with the general thrust of what that building is. If you had a choice between downtown for cultural uses, Saturday morning farmers markets, etc., versus animating that space, I think that's a discussion that you'd have to have about what is the best location for these things. So short answer is, I think, yes, that space, if you can create a range of seasonal opportunities there, that would be good. But there is a broader question of where you would put any number of tourist activities.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah, you'd be welcome at our pickleball tomorrow afternoon if you want to take a look. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have.
And just a serious point, pickleball is, as you know, it's a growing sport. So whereas the plan that was written for the RSC a few years ago didn't necessarily get into pickleball, I think it's certainly an area that we will be looking at quite seriously this time.
Pickleball is quite popular here, so
Yeah.
it is. Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing the report, September, mid-October. Certainly curious. It's two files that we've been wanting, so moving forward, give us a vision of where we're going.
Great.
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Ms. Parker, do we have any items to be added or removed?
There are no items to be added or removed.
Perfect. So we will move on to the adoption of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Thank you. I move that the agenda be approved as presented.
All right, may I have a seconder? Councillor Knowles. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Parker, do we have any declaration of conflict of interest this evening?
There was no declaration of conflict of interest.
Perfect. So we will go to adoption of the minutes. 6.1, regular public meeting held on March 20th, 2023. Councillor Branch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the minutes of the regular public meeting dated March 20th, 2023 be approved as circulated.
Perfect. May I have a seconder? Councillor Hondas. Go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Parker, do we have any delegations or petitions this evening?
We received one petition from Mr. Don Dempsey.
All right. So we will go to Councillor LeBlanc. 1700 Ruelle Anderson Point, cesser les permis et les approbations. Conseiller LeBlanc.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Je propose que la pétition reçue du résident d'allée Anderson Point soit acceptée.
Parfait. Est-ce que je peux avoir quelqu'un pour appuyer? Conseiller Brunet. Tous en faveur signifie en disant oui.
Oui.
Contre. Motion adoptée. So we are going straight to finances. 8.1 accounts payable totals for March 2023. Councillor Burnett.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I would so move that accounts payable totals, including payroll for the month of March 2023, be approved as follows. Operating $1,502,338. Capital $522,579 for a total of $3,639,138.
All right, may I have a seconder? Councillor Hondas. Before we go to the question, Mr. Pettigrew.
Thank you, Worship. Under the Capital Fund, the following is the disbursements for the months of March. Capital Fund AWI Anthracite Western Inc. received a payment of $23,736 for the media analysis at our water treatment plant. Lounsbury Automotive received a payment of $70,582 for a chassis for a 1-ton truck. Pro Construction, Inc. received a payment of $64,889 for police station office renovations for the IEU. We are having a cost recovery and will be receiving funds from the province to reimburse us. RH Fournette Trucking Limited received a payment of $316,476 for street upgrades. Raritan and Arsenal in Trust received a payment of $13,708 for land purchase. Roy Consultants Limited received a payment of $20,777 for consulting services on different capital projects. Storage Systems Limited received a payment of $12,412 for a stacker straddle truck for the KCI, for a total of $522,579 on the capital fund. In the operating fund, Bell Alliant received a payment of $24,020 for internet and TMR radio monthly fees. Schiller Regional Service Commission received a payment of $41,966 for garbage, sludge, and recyclables. IMP Solutions received a payment of $34,881 for computer replacements for 2023. J&J Branch Contracting Limited received a payment of $34,086 for snow removal services and equipment rentals. Mainville Trucking received a payment of $50,003 for snow removal services. Medavie Blue Cross received a payment of $163,882 for 2 months of monthly benefits. Michaud Petroleum received a payment of $81,477 for bulk diesel and oil. NV Power received a payment of $195,143 for electricity. PCS Sales Canada Inc. received a payment for the road salt supply of $56,819. RH Fournette Trucking Limited received a payment for the trucking of the highway salt of $35,865. Roy Consultants Limited received a payment of $26,259 for consulting services on different projects throughout the city. WEX Canada received a payment of $33,834 for fuel. WorkSafe NB received a payment of $18,636 for firefighters' annual fees. Various grant recipients of $68,500 include the IWK Radiothon, Sistema, Four Directions, New Brunswick Medical Education Foundation, Victoria Park, and various others under $5,000. Other recurring payments of $636,966 include animal control, repair, supplies, and promoter settlements for tickets, for a total of $1,502,338. Total payroll of $1,614,222 for which is 5 pay periods, for a total of $3,639,138. That's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Pettigrew. Do we have questions to Mr. Pettigrew? No? We'll go to the question then. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. 8.2, 2022 Financial Audited Statement. Councillor Hundas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the 2022 audited consolidated financial statements for the City of Bathurst be accepted as presented, and that the Mayor and the City Treasurer be authorized to sign all the aforementioned statements. Be it resolved that the 2022 audited financial statements are approved as presented.
All right, may I have a seconder? Councillor LeBlanc. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. We fall under municipal bylaws. 9.1, proposed bylaw 2004-01M, entitled the bylaw to amend bylaw 2004-01, respecting water and sewer charges in the city of Bathurst. So we'll be going to 9.11, third reading bylaw 2004-01M. Councillor Legacy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that bylaw 2004-01M, entitled a bylaw to amend bylaw 2004-01, respecting water and sewer services and charges in the city of Bathurst, effective as of January 1st, 2023, be read for the third time in its entirety. Bylaw number 2004-01M, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2004-01, respecting water and sewer services and charges in the city of Bathurst, that the council of the city of Bathurst, duly assembled and under the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Act, enacts as follows. Bylaw number 2004-01, Scheduled A, is hereby amended as follows. Addition of point 10, water leak. In the event that a broken piece of equipment occurred during the most recent 2 billing periods and causes additional water costs to the owner may request a reassessment of its account by the treasurer of the municipality and may be eligible for a credit for the additional consumption costs caused by the breakage. This credit applies only to single or 2-unit dwelling properties and can be claimed only once per same owner.
I shut my mic. I have a bit of a, I know, my throat's itchy, so I keep shutting my mic so people don't hear me trying to think something about. Okay. So, may I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I apologize. Monsieur Foulem, thank you for letting me know. I had my mic off. Okay. 9.2, hearing of objections or support closure of a portion of Anderson Point Lane. Ms. Parker.
All required notices pertaining to the closure of a portion of Anderson Point Lane were published as required by the Community Planning Act. No written objections were received.
Okay. So, j'invite les membres du public à donner leur opinion concernant les modifications prévues au plan municipal pour la ruelle Anderson Point. I will ask again. I invite members of the public to express their opinion to the municipal plan amendments for Anderson Point Lane. Et une troisième fois, j'invite les membres du public à donner leur opinion concernant les modifications prévues au plan municipal pour la ruelle Anderson Point. We have none. Okay. We are going to move on to draft resolutions. 10.1, Councillor Willett, donation requests.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the following donations be approved as discussed at the Committee of Whole meeting on April 3rd, 2023. CBDC Chaleur Incorporated, $1,000. Bathurst Bass Jam Annual Festival, $500.
All right, may I have a seconder? Councillor Legacy, go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 10.2, proposal to repeals policy. Back to Councillor Willett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the following policies be hereby repealed. P 1983-17, disposal of fill. P 1984-14, roadway lighting in the city of Bathurst. P 1985-20, claims for vandalism damages. P 1985-18, selection process interviews.
All right, may I have a seconder? Councillor Branch. Before we go to the question, Mr. Pettigrew?
Thank you, Worship. This is part of the process where we advise administration would bring forward policies that were outdated and out of date. So they're being reviewed by a committee in place, and we're bringing those changes as we make the changes or bring them forward to be rescinded or modified or adjusted. So it's bringing everything up to current standards and up to current dates.
All right, do we have any questions? You have a question, Councillor Burnett?
Yes, thank you. So there are policies that replace these ones that we're repealing so that we, have to deal with vandalism. There's a policy for that. We have to deal with lighting that's not properly done in some areas, that we could still have a policy there to help people because we have repealed these.
Thank you, Worship. In these cases, for the vandalism was for officials that had damage to their vehicles. It's a standard practice for us to operate within that where we would be a repair. There would not be a policy needed to be in place. The lighting is a standard under the Transportation Association of Canada that says you need to meet a requirement of lighting for our city streets. We don't need to have a policy when there's a national standard for lighting on public streets. So there's all other governing entities or governing requirements that meet it. So that's what we follow. And also best management practices for fill. There's procedures in place on how we use fill through an engineering company, et cetera. So the policies are no longer required when we have those best management practices and that criteria and guidelines are in place.
But the issues can still be taken care of.
Yeah, we will still take care of them. There's just processes in place that either through internal operations or through a standard provincially or nationally that we could look at.
Good, thank you.
All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 10.3, P2023-01, cell phone policy, Councillor Knowles.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move whereas the City of Bathurst utilizes cellular phones for the business use by the organization's employees, and whereas the city is endorsing the present policy to protect corporate resources, employee safety, manage communication costs, and help minimize corporate liability, be it therefore resolved that members of council approve policy P2023-01 entitled Cell Phone Policy as attached hereto.
All right, may I have a seconder? Councillor Willett. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion carried. .4, nomination au poste de greffière adjointe, député maire Anderson.
Thank you. I move that Caroline Roy be appointed Assistant City Clerk for the City of Bathurst under Section 71(2) of the Local Governance Act, effective April 17th, 2023.
Right, est-ce que je peux avoir quelqu'un pour appuyer? Conseiller Branch. Tous en faveur signifiant en disant oui.
Oui.
Contre. Motion adoptée. Bienvenue, Madame Roy. Bienvenue parmi l'équipe. 10.5, T003-23, St. Anne Street, Booster Station and West Booster Upgrade. Councillor Branch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that tender T003-23, St. Anne Booster Station and West Booster Upgrades be awarded to RH Fournette Trucking Limited for $1,348,650 plus tax.
Perfect. May I have a seconder? Councillor Hondas. Before I go to the question, Mr. Pettigrew.
Thank you, Worship. We'll go through to our city engineer, Mr. Matthew Abernathy.
Mr. Abernathy.
Thank you, Worship. So this is a project we've been talking about for a long time. It's our West Booster project has been put in place in order to be able to stabilize our pressures across West Bathurst. Excuse me. The project includes the construction of a booster station on St. Anne Street. You'll notice in your packages that there was a single bidder for the project, which was originally over budget. We had to make a scope change to the project. You'll also see it in your packages on page 101, a plan of the revised location for the project. We'll be moving the building from the lower skate park area to the upper area above the skate park, thus significantly reducing the pipe work that needs to be done. We were able to reduce the scope and the price of the project by about $275,000 to bring it within budget. So that'll be a necessary change that we had to make to bring the project within budget. Project also includes upgrades to the pumping systems at our West Booster, which is located behind the hospital, and that'll allow us to stabilize pressures and turn over our West Booster in order to maintain our guideline of 3-day turnaround for the water in that booster. We're looking at a project schedule of, since there's a lot of very technical equipment that needs to be purchased for this, very long lead times, so we're probably only looking at implementation in the spring of 2024 for completion. It'll be a long project. You'll see construction start this summer for the structures. However, the equipment won't be arriving before midwinter, so we're looking at commissioning in the spring of 2024.
That long, to get the equipment in?
We're looking at 8-9 months to receive pumps for the project.
That's the reality today. Unfortunately, that's where we are today, is whenever you want equipment, you have to wait almost a year. We do have a couple of questions here from council. For people in West Bathurst, just to kind of go back to that, not this year, but next year, this is really going to solve a major issue for people not having a lot of pressure in Parkwood Heights in that area, right? By putting that booster station?
It is, yeah. We're currently seeing, on a typical day, around 56 to 57 psi at our highest point, which is just above the Atlantic coast. We're looking to raise that to about 67 psi, so we're looking at about 20% increase, 15-20% increase in pressure. Yeah.
Conseiller Leblanc.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Well, thank you for answering question number 1. Question number 2, just to be clear, this will resolve most of the brown water situation in that area, right? That's what we were working for.
It certainly will help. What's actually going to do the most to resolve that is our unidirectional flushing program, which is going on right now. You are correct in that running at a lower pressure, we're more susceptible to pressure drops, which will create dirty water. So running at a higher pressure, we're able to stabilize a lot better. So yes, in essence, but our unidirectional flushing is really what's going to take care of that dirty water situation at the end of the day. Yeah.
Notice I said most, not all.
Yes, that's a great point.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. That's good news for the West Bathurst area. We've been wanting this for a long time. People not being able to, take a shower and do the laundry in the same day, no pressure. So I'm really, really pleased that you're moving on with this. My question, other question is, it's very close to the skateboard park now compared to the original site. Will it interfere with the skateboard park at all? Can the kids still use that this summer while the construction is on? And will it be safe for them, or what are we doing there for them?
Yeah, we're to the west of the skateboard park, so it won't interfere with operations there at all. We'll be and the entrance to the building will be off of the Casey Irving entrance. So we're really only looking at a 30 by 30 building to be constructed there and piping into St. Anne Street. So there's nothing that'll interfere with the skate park at all.
Oh, good. So skateboarders still have their park all summer?
Yep.
Oh, great. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Well, this is a great initiative. I know we've been trying to work on that one for a couple of years, so unfortunately, it's only going to happen in 2024, but at least we're moving forward and we have the finances for it. So we'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Conseiller Leblanc, sous location du camion, excusez-moi, d'incendie. Camion.
Vous êtes revenu au Canada?
Oh, je suis revenu au Canada. Enrhumé, mais je suis revenu au Canada.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Je propose que le Conseil municipal approuve de sous-location entre la ville de Bathurst et la banque et que la mairesse et la greffière municipale soient autorisées à signer tous les documents connexes au nom de la ville.
Parfait. Est-ce que je peux avoir quelqu'un pour appuyer? Conseiller Handas. Avant qu'on voit la question, Monsieur Pettigrew.
Thank you, Worship. As part of this reform, part of this process, there's currently 2 vehicles that are part of the provincial.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you,
you're good.
Worship.
Sorry.
As part of the municipal reform, there are currently 2 vehicles that are part of the St. Anne Regional Fire Department that have leases with the province and RBC through their process. So we're being added as the sublease part of that agreement. So we'll continue the process till the end of I think one expires February 2025, and the other one expires in January 2032. So we're being added to it as the new entity because we inherited these pieces of equipment, so we're being added to the sublease agreements.
All right. Councillor Branch?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just curious, so would we be recovering some of the cost through the provision of fire services to the province? Because will we now be providing fire services to the rural entity?
Thank you, Your Worship. Currently, there are agreements, and there will be agreements in place for the services that are offered outside the new City of Bathurst boundaries. So there are funds available in the budgets, but it's for us to move forward with agreements and so forth. Yes, so anything that's outside the city limits that we provide as a service, we will have a contract and agreement in place to recover funds. And that's not only for fire, that would be for solid waste and for any other service that we would provide within those areas that if we provide the services.
Okay, so are we actively moving forward with pursuing those agreements?
Yeah, they're already in place for the year. So we set up the discussions with Mr. Bujold, the GNB representative, for solid waste, and Mr. Abernathy, our city engineer, we're gonna have a meeting in the next couple, either this week or next week, to discuss. So we're way ahead of the game. So we're ahead of the game for these planning for future.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. So we'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Appointment to Bathurst Aquatic Center. Councillor Burnett.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll do the best I can with this name. I would so move that Francesco Biglione be appointed to the Aquatic Center Commission for a first term of office expiring April 2024.
All right, may I have a seconder? Councillor Willett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. And yes, you said it exactly right, Councillor Burnett, it's Viglione. They're adding a new person to... Okay. Ms. Parker, do we have any new business?
There's no new business.
Do we have any old business?
There's no old business.
Items for information and others, committee report. Do we have any committee reports?
There was no committee reports.
Okay. Departmental updates.
There was also no departmental updates.
All right. So before I go to the mayor's report, I'll go to the proclamation. Proclamation mois de la sensibilisation. J'en ai deux, so I have two. Melanoma and Skin Cancer Awareness Month, May 2023, where it is imperative that communities across Canada be reminded of the importance of sun safety, attendu que la surexposition aux rayons UV est l'une des principales causes de la mélanome et des cancers de la peau autres que la mélanome. And whereas the skin cancer is the most common of all cancers, 1 in 6 Canadians born in the 1990s will get skin cancer in their lifetimes. Attendu que de nombreuses personnes s'exposent au soleil sans prendre les mesures de précaution nécessaires et ignorent que tout assombrissement de la couleur de la peau, y compris le bronzage, est signe de dommages causés par les rayons UV. And whereas skin self-examination should be performed monthly because skin cancers are highly treatable when detected early. Attendu que la Fondation Sauve ta peau se consacre à la lutte contre les cancers de la peau autres que la mélanome, le mélanome et le mélanome oculaire par les biais d'initiatives nationales d'éducation, de plaidoyer et de sensibilisation. Therefore, I, Kim Chamberlain, Mayor, on behalf of the City of Bathurst City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Melanoma and Skin Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Bathurst, New Brunswick. Le mois de la sensibilisation à la maladie de Lyme, Lyme Awareness Month. Whereas Lyme disease is one of the fastest growing vector-borne illnesses in the world, and attendu que la population de tiques, le principal vecteur pour la transmission de la maladie de Lyme, est en pleine expansion au Nouveau-Brunswick et au Canada, whereas the number of New Brunswickers suffering from Lyme disease is increasing from one year to the next, and attendu que la sensibilisation joue un rôle de premier ordre pour faire connaître et prévenir la maladie, à ces causes, je, Kim Chamberlain, mairesse de Bathurst, programme par la présente le mois de mai 2023, le mois de la sensibilisation à la maladie de Lyme dans la ville de Bathurst. I will go to Mayor's report. I just have a few little things. On April 12, we had our first youth council meeting in actual council chambers here. A group from Bathurst High School and École Secondaire Nipisiguit, students, along with volunteers to the committee. So Ms. Audrey Runnels, Shannon Lavigne, Marc Arsenault, Catherine Lantaigne, and Councillor Stephen Legacy. It was really nice to see their first meeting. They had great ideas. I'll say it in French and then I might just go to Councillor Legacy to add. Le 12 avril, nous avons tenu notre première rencontre du Conseil des jeunes dans la salle du Conseil, ici avec les étudiants. Un groupe d'étudiants de École secondaire Nipisiguit et Bathurst High School, incluant les volontaires du comité, Marc Arsenault, Audrey Reynolds, Shannon Lavigne, Catherine Lantaigne et conseiller Stephen Legacy. J'aimerais dire merci de vouloir participer et de faire une différence dans la vie de nos étudiants. So I'd really like to thank all the volunteers that are sitting on this committee and for making a difference. And thank you for Councillor Legacy for accepting to be part of this committee. So your first meeting was interesting?
Yeah, no, it went really well. I also want to say thank you to Ms. Parker. She helped coordinate a lot of this to begin with. But no, the first meeting went excellent. The kids jumped at the opportunity. There was so many ideas put out there that that's kind of what we wanted. It's the first meeting was supposed to be a brainstorming session, and there's a lot for us to go through now, but we kind of narrowed it down, and this committee is meant to be student-led. There's students from grade 9 all the way up to 11, I believe. And they want to continue being part of it the following year, and that was kind of the idea. No, there's already going to be some groups already in the community that will be approached by this new committee on how they can help. Hospitality Days, you guys should be expecting things, and a few others, so you'll be hearing a lot about it.
This is really exciting. I'm really happy. And thank you, Ms. Parker, for leading this as well. It's true. She's been trying to coordinate all the meetings and the time and the date. On another note, too, is that it's always great news when we hear that the City of Bathurst has been able to maintain its debt payment efforts in the fiscal year of 2022. Since I was a councillor in 2016, including other councillors that are here today that was elected back in 2016, we were all there as council, I'm very proud to say that we have not increased our property taxes for our citizens of Bathurst. Your assessment may have increased, but that's at a provincial level, certainly not at a municipal level. And that's really important for people to understand, is that my taxes have gone up this year, but it's my provincial assessment that went up. The city has not increased property taxes since 2016, and here we are in 2023, and we chose not to increase property taxes again this year. Now, that being said, since 2018, we have been reducing the city's debt. Over $11 million has been paid on the debt. You're looking at 33% reduction on the net debt. That is amazing work from this group and new council moving forward. We have another 3 years, and then for council coming forward. You know, being able to want to be able to pay cash for things eventually is where we want to go. With the reform, with the provincial government, this is what they want to see. We are ahead of the game. For a small region, we are ahead of the game. Now, many factors are needed to be aligned for us to have sound financial management, from diligent oversight with proactive adjustments by our management team to the innovative approaches implemented by your employees. Thanks to this collective effort, the expanded financial flexibility allows us to further enhance service delivery to our citizens. We have an amazing group of employees working at the City of Bathurst. And I want to say thank you on behalf of myself and council. Thank you to all the employees at the City of Bathurst for your hard work. It's truly, truly appreciated. And it's nice to see, and I said it earlier at the beginning, we have a great group of people that work together, and none of this would have happened without the work that you are doing. So thank you, Mr. Pettigrew. I don't tell it very often, but you're doing an amazing job as CEO. And I'm very happy to be sitting here, and I'm proud to be seeing where we're moving forward. And if we say 2 years, in 2 years, we shaved $4.1 million off our debt. In 2018, we were close to $38 million in debt. And here we are today, in 2022, for 2022, we're down to $26,645,000 in debt. That's amazing. Now let's keep moving forward. And what I think with all of this is we've increased our employees. We've increased our patching crew for the summer. We've added employees, and we're still finding ways to save money. So we're giving more to our citizens, and we're saving. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you to all the city employees and everybody working together on behalf of myself and council. Now, on the weekend, it was a last-minute thing. I was babysitting. I was not able to go. But Councillor Knowles, Councillor Hondas, and Councillor Burnett went and cleaned Grant Street. How did that go? They went well? Well, I'll give you the mic. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it went really well. With 3 of us going up and down the area, we, I think, picked up about 6-7 bags of garbage and even parts of cars. And it looks so much better today. And I do encourage the citizens that already have streets to do under the Adopt a Street program to get ready and let us know when you need the vests and when you need the garbage bags and and we hope to get more, because now the snow is going so quick, it's unbelievable. And everything is showing up, like in the ditches and in the fields and the side of the road. And we have a beautiful city. Let's keep it even more beautiful by everybody pitching in. So.
Totally agree. And Councillor Honda's had a good suggestion when we were chatting on Saturday, is that maybe all council can get together and do one Saturday morning, and we need to pick the time because I know everybody's busy. But we can all get together and try to help out. Bathurst High School is going to start their cleaning as well, so we'll be able to try to see if we can give them a hand. But yeah, I think this is a beautiful initiative.
But we have to sign up Friends of Madison. This is where Madison was when on the day that she was taken, so we think. So if anybody has any information on her or her whereabouts, we're still looking for that. And we won't forget her, and we'll do this little thing by keeping that street clean for her.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Councillor Hondas?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just coming back to the Adopt a Street program, I spoke to Mrs. Parker. We're going to try to get a list out there what roads would be available left for anybody that wants to get together and put a group together, company or anything. We went there at 10. We were done by 11, so that we were at just 3 people. There's also the Adopt the Fire Hydrant, so if you want to collaborate the two at the same time, like Councillor Burnett said, we do have a beautiful city. Why not pick up a piece of garbage every once in a while and make it happen? You know, like it's just a good outing. It's fun. You know, we can have a nice chat while we're walking, picking up garbage. You know, it's all about the garbage. It's just fun to do. So let's get out there. And I'm going to take a nice big long road for council. So
yes,
be ready to put your galoshes on.
There you go.
We're inviting all members of staff too.
Yes.
That day, if you're interested in giving a few hours. We need engineers. We need engineers.
Engineers. No pressure.
Firefighters.
Firefighters. No pressure. Thank you. And lastly, I did want to say a special thank you to Deputy Mayor Anderson. I was on vacation for 2 weeks. I was actually out of Canada, so my allergies went in overdrive when I got back. That's why I felt like I kept shutting my mic, because anyway. So thank you, Deputy Mayor Anderson, for taking over while I was away. Truly appreciate it. And I did have a wonderful 2 weeks vacation with my husband, so that's where we're at right now. But it was great. It was great. I needed a vacation. I really did. Which brings us to 13.3.2. No, actually, number 14, adjournment of the meeting. Go back to Councillor Hondas.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Je propose que la séance ordinaire publique soit levée à 19h42.
Parfait. Est-ce que je peux avoir quelqu'un pour appuyer? Conseiller Leblanc, tout ça en faveur signifié en disant oui.
Oui.
Contre, motion adoptée. Merci d'être avec nous ce soir. Bonne soirée à tous. Have a great evening.